This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, good morning. Okay, so we yesterday we have discussed about dynamic data, dynamic data application, dynamic data scraping using web application. Okay, so today we will discuss about orchestrator. Okay, so today we will discuss about orchestrator. Okay, so this is one of the important important feature which we have to know. Okay, so orchestrator, as we have discussed in the very first class. Okay, so what is the architecture of UiPath, right? We have discussed about architecture of the UiPath. So in architecture of UiPath, orchestrator is one of the very important component, right? So studio, along with the studio, robot, and orchestrator is one of the important component in the architecture of UiPath. Okay, so basically we have discussed about development till now. Okay, how the different kinds of automations can be done, different types of different types of data scraping, screen scraping, manual techniques, automation techniques, right? So once we have done a project in real time. Okay, so basically how to pass that automation solution from one environment to another environment, that is from development to testing to UAT product to production. Okay, so you have to make them available in the different environments, and finally the automation solution which we have given, which we have developed, should be even available to the client as well. Okay, so for doing all these things there should be an environment, and along with the development activities or the development environment in UiPath, even there should be an environment where the bots which we have developed should be controlled. Okay, should be controlled, or should be scheduled, and there should be machines, right? So UiPath machines has to be assigned to all the robots which we have developed so that they will get executed. Okay, so each bot should have a machine, right? So each bot should have a machine to run. So this assignment, which machine will be allocated to which robot. Okay, so there will be parallel robots which will be running. Okay, so if one machine cannot run multiple robots, so this assignment, okay, robot and machine mapping and assignment, all these things, and dealing with the data. Okay, so bots should process some data, right? Data tables and external data which we are getting from Excel, CSV, PDF, or any web application or window application. There is a lot of data which has to be processed. Okay, so how that data will be processed, what is the volume of the data? Okay, so all, even that data related activities should be taken care. So all these will be facilitated by orchestrator. Okay, so basically in one line what we can say is, so orchestrator will be a manager of UiPath. Okay, so orchestrator will facilitate all the management activities which are related to UiPath robot. Okay, so UiPath orchestrator is used to manage manage the creation, monitoring, and deployment of the resources in our environment. Okay. Okay, so what basically our orchestrator will do, it will create, monitor, and deploy resources in our environment. So resources means that could be a machine, a UiPath machine, or any other resources. Okay. And the next one. So how an orchestrator should be accessed? Okay, how an orchestrator should be accessed. So each tool, each RPA tool will have their own way of accessing these management tools. For example, in Blue Prism, okay, in Blue Prism, the same orchestrator, whatever the orchestrator will do in UiPath, okay, so that is called as control room in Blue Prism. Okay, so that is within the tool. Okay, control room is within the tool where we once we install, control room will also be available along with the overall package of that installation. Okay, so the development area and even the control room, everything will be in that particular package. Okay, unlike that in UiPath, orchestrator can be accessed through browser. Okay, so unlike the control room in Blue Prism, okay, orchestrator could be accessed from a web application. Okay, so we have to just give the URL. We have to open the browser, and once we give the URL of the orchestrator, then we can access the orchestrator. So right, so something like this. So I will show you. So what is the, so this is this one, platform.uipath.com. Okay, so URL is platform.uipath.com. This is the URL for accessing the orchestrator. Okay, simple. We have to just go to browser and type this URL. But the thing is, we should be able to log in here. We should be able to have username and password. Okay, we don't have, and if we are using the trial version of UiPath, we need to become a tenant. We need to become a tenant. That will give a temporary access to orchestrator. Okay, so we'll come back to this one again. So before we start and work on orchestrator, there is some theory we need to understand, basically what actually it is and what is the uses of that. Okay, so orchestrator is a web application that enables to orchestrate. Okay, web application that enables to orchestrate means simply enables to manage. Okay, enables to orchestrate robots in executing automation solutions for the manual processes which we have developed. Manual processes. So we develop automation solutions for the manual processes only, right? So okay, so that will manage whatever the manual processes are there, and which we are giving the automation solutions, which we are developing automation solutions, okay, using UiPath. So all that robots will be managed by robots, and how that is accessible by the help of web application. Okay, so coming to what are the different features of orchestrator. These are all very important for the interview purpose, guys. Okay. Very important points to remember at the point of interview. Okay. So first one, features of orchestrator. So basically what orchestrator will facilitate, what are the things which we can do with orchestrator. That means first one is provisioning. I will tell you what actually all these things. Provisioning, deployment, we might already have some idea. Deployment, configuration, queue management. Okay. So once we do with once we understand orchestrator and once we execute a bot using orchestrator, we even work on queues. Okay, we even take one of the use cases using queues also. Okay, so this queues will be worked on the orchestrator. Okay, so for working on queues, we need to have good understanding on the orchestrator first. Okay, so then queues, monitoring, logs, interconnectivity. Okay, so these are the different features of orchestrator. These are the different features of orchestrator. So provisioning, deployment, configuration, queues, monitoring, logs, interconnectivity. Features it does simply means whatever the orchestrator will facilitate to do for a developer. All these things. Okay. So what is provisioning? Creates and maintains the connection between robots and web application. Okay, why this connection is needed? Because see, the development environment is this one. Okay, we are developing our bots here. Okay, using different types of projects. Okay, we are developing flowcharts, we are developing sequences, doing scraping. Okay, this is all development area. So see here, studio, we do development in the UiPath studio. But as I said, orchestrator is a web application. We have to access through a web application. Here we have to log in and access through. So there should be a bridge between both of these, right? So studio and orchestrator. So that will be done by provisioning. Creates and maintains the connection between robots and web application. Okay, that is the help of provisioning. Deployment. Okay, deployment is basically delivery management. Okay, once we have developed our automation solution, or once we have developed the studio related bots, okay, so they have to be delivered to different environments. Okay, that could be from one environment to another environment, or maybe from one server to another server, or maybe it could be directly to the client so that they can start using them. Okay, so all that will be taken care by deployment. So basically deployment area will assure the correct delivery of the automation solution, correct delivery of the automation solution packages. Okay, so we may develop automation solution in different packages. Okay, so at a time it is not possible to give everything in the project. Okay, so there could be some parts of that, so different parts will come together as a package, and this package has to be finally deployed and delivered. Okay, so automation solution package. And if there are any changes in the packages, okay, if there are any changes, okay, when these changes will occur, so if there is any errors or mistakes in that, or maybe if the automation solution is not working properly according to the requirements, okay, or maybe when we get some change requests from the client. Okay, so maybe once you have got the requirements, but maybe later you may get some new request from the client. Okay, then we have to make some changes in the solution, right? So once you have delivered the package and you have changed something, a new version will be created of that particular package. So all these different packages and their versions will also be taken care in the orchestrator. Okay, so package versions to the assigned robots for execution. Okay, so this is what it will be done in deployment. Coming to configuration. So what will be configured? Whatever the required configuration which is required for a robot. Okay, robot environment. That could be a resource. Okay, assigning a resource. Okay, assigning a resource to a robot for the execution purpose. Okay, or assigning an instance to the robot for execution. Okay, and whatever the connections needed. Okay, if it requires a database connection, if it requires a server connection. Okay, all that configuration will be done in the configuration area of the orchestrator. And even process configuration along with the robot environment, it will also do process configuration. Okay, robot environment and process configuration will be done here. Queues again, this is one of the important work. So wherein even while developing the robots, even developers will be using these queues. So that is the reason we have to know about these queues, and very important at the interview point of view as well. Queue size is nothing but it is very simple. Okay, so data management or work or maybe task management will be done in the queues. Okay, so these tasks or this data will be called as queues in RPA terminology. Okay, so basically queues and queue item management. Okay, so this is what done in queues. So what is queue item? Queue item is nothing but one unit of task to be done by a particular robot. Okay, so let's say for example we have seen few Excel sheets and there are some records in that. Okay, so if the robot has to get that data into queues and start processing that data. Okay, so each record in that particular queue is a queue item. Okay, each particular data, employee name, employee number, okay, any other data, so that is one record of data, right? So it has to process that data has to be processed by robot. So that is nothing but one queue item for its. Okay, that is nothing but one queue item. Okay, so all that will make one queue. Okay, so all the related records will make one queue. Okay, so then it has to collect all the queue and start processing that. Okay. So all that work management, okay, all that work management will be done in the queues. Monitoring keeps track keeps track of robot identification data and maintains user permissions. Okay, so keeps track of robot identification. So each robot will have a separate ID, right? Each robot will have its name and each robot will have its separate IDs. Okay, so with that, the identification will be done by monitoring, and it also gives the permissions which are required to access that particular robot. So a user has to get access to that robot to execute or maybe to do some changes, edits. Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever a particular robot has to be accessed. Okay, all the permissions, authorizations, and authentications, all that will be done from the monitoring level. Okay. Logs, stores, and indexes the logs. Log is nothing but a record. Log is nothing but a record. Record in the sense, once some, let's say once some edit is done in a robot, okay, in the studio, okay, so that will be traced, that will be recorded as a history, that will be recorded as a history. That is nothing but a log. Okay, so whatever UiPath, whatever the activities which are there in UiPath, activities in the sense not the development activities, the tasks which are done, okay, whatever the tasks which are done, all those tasks, okay, all those tasks will be recorded and kept as a log, okay, for history purpose. Indexes the logs to, and where that history will be saved, that history will be saved in the form of SQL database. Okay, SQL database. And one more good feature which we have in UiPath is we can search that. We can search all these logs by the help of Elasticsearch also. Okay, so there is one search technique. Okay, Elasticsearch is one of the search technique. Okay, so just like Google, we can search different like whatever we want in Google, right? So it will give you related links to you in order to access. In the same way, Elasticsearch can be used in your internal purpose. Okay, Elasticsearch can be used just like a Google search for internal purpose. For example, if you are maintaining an Elasticsearch for all your logs, and if you go and search for some name or maybe some date, it will give whatever the history it is saved in the SQL database. Okay, so Elasticsearch again is not mandatory in UiPath. If you want to search for some logs, okay, in the later stages, wherever it is saved in the later stages, if you want to search for some log, okay, by anything, by name, by date, or by some name, by some word, okay, so you can use Elasticsearch. Okay, so if you still want to have more deeper knowledge or deeper understanding about Elasticsearch, you can simply Google it and we'll get the data. Okay, so but again, it is not mandatory. If we want, we can configure, otherwise we can leave like that. Okay, simply we can go just for the default logs. Okay, okay, so it all depends on our requirement and architecture. Fine. Yeah. interconnectivity, acts as the centralized point of communication. Okay, so wherever communication for external vendors or apps. Okay, whenever UiPath has to communicate with any other external application or external vendor software or any package, okay, so that will be facilitated by interconnectivity. So these are the different features and these are the different ways we can use orchestrator in order to make all this possible. Okay, and now accessing UiPath orchestrator. Accessing UiPath orchestrator. Okay, go to platform.uipath.com. Okay, so go to platform.uipath.com from any of the browser. So click on here. If you have to register, become a tenant. So if you click on this one, so it will ask you tenant name, username, okay, and all the details. Okay, you have to give the password, confirm password. Okay, once you give all those things, you can access the UiPath orchestrator. Register to become tenant. So if you have a licensed version, okay, so this is a community edition which I am telling about. Okay, so if you have already a licensed version, you have to give the license credentials. Okay, so whatever the license username and password is there, you have to give that. Okay, so because this is even the orchestrator which we are able to see here, this is a community edition which we can access through browser. Okay, and once you are logged in, we can go through all the features which we have discussed. Okay, so once we will get into there. Okay, once we discussed the other things also, there are other things also to be discussed. Okay, so this is about UiPath orchestrator. So, and next one is UiPath robot. This is one of the interconnectivity. Okay, whenever we want to work with any robot and want to run in orchestrator, there is another one called UiPath robot. Even this one we have discussed in the architecture of UiPath, right? So even about UiPath robot we have discussed in the architecture. So mainly three things are there, right? Studio, UiPath Studio, UiPath orchestrator, UiPath robot. All these three are required. All these three are required in order to give the automation solution and execute them. Okay, so development will be done in the studio, all the management will be done in the orchestrator, UiPath orchestrator, and UiPath robot will act as an agent in between orchestrator and studio. Okay, UiPath robot will act as an agent between orchestrator and studio. Fine. So I will tell you basically what is this? UiPath robot is an agent, as I said, application which takes the request, from the UiPath UiPath orchestrator and execute on the target system. Okay, so the request will, so for a robot, because this is an agent, it works on a request and response. It will work on a request and response manner. Okay, so it has to get a request, then it will take the request and give the response. So where it has to get the request from UiPath orchestrator, and once it gets the request, it will execute on the target system. So this target system could be a client system as well. Whoever executes that, whoever having the bot and whoever is executing, that is the target system. Okay, and once it is executed, it returns the logs. Okay, so it has executed and there is some transaction happened in the UiPath. Okay, so that should be recorded, right? So it has to return a log. It returns the logs and other information to the orchestrator. Okay, so once it is executed, it will return the log and whatever the related information of that particular robot. Okay, so where we can see this UiPath robot. So once we have installed UiPath, we will get UiPath robot as well. Okay, so you can just type UiPath. So see here, UiPath Studio is there, right? UiPath robot. So we can just click on UiPath robot. UiPath robot is again a desktop application. It is not a web application. So once it is there, we can see here. Okay, so just like any other application, it will appear here. Yeah. Okay. So along with this, you can see UiPath robot and its version 2018.4.0 connected. See here. Okay. So once it is successfully launched, you can see here, and you can open. Click on that one and see. This is just like, it will be just like a chat window. Okay. So UiPath robot will just like be a chat window. So here, it will show what is the available process, and if you want to search any process which is in this agent, you can search here and see here. So whatever the project which is already executed, it will show here, and if you want to start that project, you can do that. And here, if you want to do any settings, or if you want to open logs, if I click on open logs, so see here what I said here, it will return the logs and other information to the orchestrator. That is what we are able to see here. Where is that? Okay, yeah, this one. So see here, this is the log and it generated, so it will give the information of when it is generated and what type of data which we have worked on and what is the size of all this information will also be given. Fine. So see here all the information what happened, so whether it is execution and studio. Okay, so all this information and it will be saved. So this is the log, this is the is the path. This is the path where it will save. So this will be your username. This will be your username, and app data will be same, local UiPath logs. Okay. So whenever you want to see logs, okay, you can see in this path. Okay. Except this one, this will be your own personal username. And other things which we can see in the UiPath robot is, so this is the project which I have already executed. Okay, so if you have already executed any process, you can see here, and you can run anytime. Okay, it will be available. But only thing is, if you want to run this, studio should be able to studio should be available, and along with that, even orchestrator should be available for you. Okay, and coming to settings, see here, what are the things. This is again very important in order to use the robot. Okay, unless we give these things, robot will not work. UiPath robot will not work. Okay, first thing, we have to give the machine name, and we have to give the platform URL. That means orchestrator URL. I have told you, right, platform.uipath.com. This is the URL which we have to give compulsory, and machine key will be generated. Okay, so once we have installed UiPath, okay, it will take the machine key as well. Okay, so machine key, by identifying your machine key, UiPath will be mapped. Okay, your UiPath software and your machine will be identified uniquely. Okay, and with that identification, a key will be generated. Okay, so with this key, this agent will know. How it will know? Okay, so you have developed something in studio, and it has to be executed in the orchestrator. Okay, how it will know? Okay, because all this will run on the license basis, right? So but then how it will know? Okay, so there should be some unique identification, right? So that unique identification is nothing but machine key. Okay, so this agent, okay, UiPath robot is the agent, right? So this agent will facilitate. Okay, it will say, okay, so the automation or the development which is done in the UiPath studio of this machine. Okay, so we do development in UiPath studio, right? Okay, so whatever the automation solution has been developed in the UiPath of this machine, okay, has to be executed in the orchestrator. Okay, and it will be identified with this machine. Okay, so the studio is also in this machine, and the orchestrator is also in this machine, so that, okay, you can execute the, it will say that, okay, this is the mapping, and you can execute the process. Okay, so that is the reason why we have to use machine key also. And one more thing is also, like, once you want to install again, after, we will get some time for the community edition of UiPath. After that, if you want to reinstall again after you have completed the community edition, then you cannot, because it has already generated a machine key. Okay, that means it will say, on this machine UiPath has already been installed and used for community edition. Then you cannot. Okay, this is the one of the important things. So this is how it will be identified. Language and robot logging, you can see here. So see, robot logging level, what do you want? You want information, trace, verbose, warning. Okay, so if you want to record only warnings, it will do. If you want to record only errors, okay, if you want to record only critical things, or if you want to completely log off the logging, okay, you can do this one. Okay, so this is about UiPath robot, and it will say what is the status, connected, license. So even if it is a community edition, till then, if you are using this, it will say as licensed. Okay, so this is about UiPath robot. Okay, so working on orchestrator, working on this UiPath robot, how to actually use them, this UiPath robot, and how to run a bot in orchestrator. We will take a use case and do it in the next session, that is tomorrow. Okay, so that we can see practically how this studio will be able to uh, establish the connection with the UiPath robot, and how UiPath robot and orchestrator is getting connected, and what are the mappings to be done, all those things which we have to do. We'll take a use case and do that tomorrow. Okay, and after that, once we are good with UiPath orchestrator, one more important thing which we have to know is about queues. Queues is one of the important thing. Okay, anyhow, queues is one, we will take the use case and do that. Okay, we will get some data into that and work on that and process that. Okay, so that will give a real-time exposure basically. And there are other things also in UiPath. Okay, so UiPath orchestrator. Okay, how to see the logs, uh, what are the different settings we can do based on the users and the authentications, all those things also we can cover. Okay, in in the queues, like we will see how to create a queue, how to add the data into the queue, how to get the data from the queue. So adding the data into queue, and even we should be able to get the data from the queue into the UiPath as well. So that, and how to execute, and basically once the data is executed we should get some result. So how to get that result and how to save that result, all those things are balanced. Okay. Okay, so if you want to work on UiPath, okay, UiPath orchestrator once you have installed. So by the time we will take the use case tomorrow, you can even get the tenant. You can get an account by becoming a tenant, so that you can even see the practical use case execution on the UiPath orchestrator once we are done with the use case tomorrow. Okay, so that will give the real time exposure. Okay, yeah, thank you. See you tomorrow again.